everyone, Coach Angela here. We are going to be going over our flow. We had talked at a recent flow certification, kind of like a tip for not having to read your workout all the time during class. And so what I personally will do, we'll look over the workout and I'll see what our very last sequence is and know that that is my eventual goal. So our very last sequence before we get to our dolphin pose is a chair, a staff, a warrior three, and then half moon to revolved half moon. So I know that eventually we're gonna be working on opening up and adding a twist, getting into that half moon by way of revolve, triangle, and triangle. So that's really how I'm able to set myself up in my head. If I know where we're ending, I'm able to guide us that whole way without having to look at my workout. So practice that, start to build that into your practice, whether it's knowing just what maybe the second sequence is and see if you can guide yourself to that second sequence without seeing your workout. And then you'll really start to be able to kind of see the sequence in your head while you're still verbally instructing and guiding on the floor. Okay, so I hope that helps. Let me know. So we are, as I've talked about in the past, I always start my class, personal preference, in simple seated. We do breath work. We set our intentions. I usually have like a very meaningful quote to myself. I speak to either seasonal or a tragedy that's happened or something that really exciting has happened in our local community. We speak to that, we talk about that, we open up to that, and then we begin in the very first written part of the workout. So I begin in my class in the same spot every day or every class that I coach, but again, just a personal preference. So we're gonna begin in standing mountain at the very back of our mat. So make sure that you have talked about and asked them to come to the back of their mat in standing mountain, rolling the shoulders back, tucking the pelvis, lifting all 10 toes up, and then from pinky working way in, and you can give them some time to rock back and forth side to side. They're going to be here for 5 breaths, so really focusing on shoulders rolling back, chin parallel to the earth, and ears in line with shoulders with palms open to the front of the room. So 5 breaths here, working on, my favorite recently is equal inhale and exhale, because a lot of us, especially if you're doing run training, you'll notice a lot of girls breathe in too shallowly and don't exhale enough air, so they get CO2 buildup in their lungs, and that causes cramps. So that equal inhale and exhale, because we're educating them on the mat here how to survive on the floor, on the trail, in life. So after we've done those 5 breaths of equal inhale, exhale, we're going to inhale up to extended mountain pose, and exhale, swan dive down into that forward fold, soft knees, reverse swan dive up, always making sure arms are coming out in front, or out to the side, sorry. So we're never having them do this to come back up to standing or this to fold forward, because that's a lot of pressure and weight guiding them forward that their low back will start to take when we don't want that. So just bring the arms out to the side 5 times. And then we're gonna meet in our inhale, extended mountain. Pause for a moment here, option for a cactus. Then we're gonna grip hands to the low back. You're going to inhale, lift the chest up super high, and then exhale, start to dive forward, ask them to rock the weight into the toes. And then when they get to their forward fold, they're gonna tuck their head. Pause here for a moment. Then you're gonna bend the right knee. So if we're bending the right knee, we're gonna look under the left shoulder, and that's gonna get a strong IT band stretch in that straight leg. So my left leg should be feeling a really strong IT band stretch. Hold for about 5 breaths, and then we'll switch. So now left leg bends, look under the right, and again, I should be feeling that rubber band lengthening in my IT band. We're gonna come back to center, and we're just gonna release hands by way of the low back. I always ask them to give their hamstrings a little love on the way down. Pause for a moment here, and then we're gonna roll up elephant trunk, 1 vertebrae at a time, all the way to the top. We're gonna inhale, extended mountain, and exhale. We're going to fold and then walk hands out into plank. So that's why we started at the back of our mat, so that they could walk their way up to the top of their mat. From here, hold for 5 breaths. Exhale, using their lower core, they're going to lift back into down dog. You can pause for a moment in that first down dog. Ask them to really start to feel the pose, pedal out the feet, weight in the heels, do some adjustments here, but we're gonna repeat that 5 times. So I always say it's like a wave crashing to shore. We slowly inhale, come back to plank, the wave is crashed, and then exhale, the wave is pulling back out. So slow and controlled on that breath count. After 5 times, we're going to pause, drop heels to the right, center, left, 3 times. So we're gonna do that right, center, left, and then we're gonna lower all the way down, untuck the toes, inhale up into cobra, exhale, forehead to mat, and push back into down dog. Pedal out the feet here. We're going to hop or step all the way up. A sun A is just our basic vinyasa. Option to add in that cactus arms, halfway lift, plant the hands, step it back. We'll stay with cobra here since we're still warming up, but you'll go through 3 rounds of that sun A. So just that hop in, inhale up, and step it all the way through. From here, we're gonna inhale, right leg lifts, step it through all the way into crescent pose. I'm actually gonna switch feet on you, sorry girls. So I'm gonna have my left leg forward, but you'd have your right. Inhale up, crescent pose first. Great opportunity to ask them to bend the back knee so there's no strain in the low back. Square the hips, make sure they're on that floint in the back foot, which is that point flex. And then when they feel like they've reached that square hip and there's no pressure in the low back, they can really start to extend that back leg. From here, we're gonna open up into warrior 2. So our warrior 2, I always, especially the first round, pause for a moment, bring hands to hips, think about that back leg lighting up, back foot parallel to the mat. Lunge forward, look at their toes or heels, and ask them to take that heel and turn it in towards you slightly. So you should be mirroring them, actually facing them right now. Lunge forward, it's like the lower body is lunging in and the upper body is sitting up nice and tall. So diving forward here, sitting up tall in the upper. So an easy correction, most people do this, just gently come up, grab the back fingertips and pull them back. Another thing is that they've got their back hip cocked, so you'll come up behind them and just gently adjust those hips. So with the heel, the hip, and then the leaning forward, those are usually the 3 main cues in warrior 2. Then we're going to inhale, reverse, making sure that they didn't just pop that hip back, they keep it tucked under. We hold here, and then we're gonna exhale, cartwheel hands all the way to the ground and repeat. So I would suggest holding each of those for at least 5 breaths, probably more like 10, because it's our first time going through. You're gonna have a lot of cues. You're gonna need to be talking about what they should be feeling in their body. Always important to cue the muscle groups that are activating so that they're not just like stacking on their skeletal system. After we do that second side, we're going to come back, meet in our down dog. We're going to inhale, chair pose. So making sure that you've got blocks if you need. I personally like the big toes touching. It's like you're zipping up all the way here. So they're actually able to rotate their inner thighs in towards the back of the room, and that supports their low back. When you ask them to widen up, it's not that they can't activate, it's just that most women don't know that they need to be squeezing their inner thighs together. So if you tell them that, this is what they're gonna look like, okay? So if you don't have a block, ask big toes to touch, slight space in the heels, acting like a zipper coming all the way up. Their shins are squeezing, their inner thighs are squeezing, and their thighs are rotating in towards each other, towards the back of the room. So then we're going to add our twist. So we're gonna bring hands to heart, hinge forward, twist right and left. Again, holding for about 5 breaths. Come back to that chair and exhale, forward fold. We're going to flow through to down dog. So at this point we could add our chaturanga. We're going to inhale, crescent pose. Pausing here. We've been here once before, so we should know exactly what it should feel like. Open up into warrior 2, reverse, and then extend it. So we haven't been here yet. So you're gonna bring that bottom hand either to the thigh, a block, or the earth. That back arm, I like to crank. So it's like I'm starting a lawnmower, top fingertips will scrape the ground, and then I'm able to rotate open. Whereas if you just ask them to come here, most of them are gonna be wrenching their shoulder up by their ear. So if we ask them to kind of wind it, relax the shoulder, and then open up, you'll notice that you'll have a lot more breath in your chest. So extended side angle for 10 breaths. And then from there, we're going to bring right hand to hip, straighten that front leg, shorten up the stance slightly if you need. Left hand comes to earth, block, or shin, and then start to feel the twist from your hips first. So open up that heart, and then the arm follows for triangle. So if you ask them to go straight from extended into triangle, they're not gonna get that openness in their hip. That's what the hand on the hip does. It guides the hips open, then the chest, then the shoulder, and then the arm, because they should feel a pinch right back here in their psoas. So if I was adjusting someone, I would come up behind them and give them gentle pressure right here on their hip bone to open up. So you would be pushing actually in to their bottom glute. So I would come up behind someone, give them a little bit of pressure with my bottom leg, and if this is their hip, be pulling it back towards me, not wrenching, just a gentle guide, okay? Just enough to let them know where I want them to be. And then you can ask, do you feel that pinch? That's what I want, that's your psoas. Okay, so we have the option for a half bind in our triangle here, okay? Only if they're not caving their shoulder in. Then we're going to exhale, pyramid pose. So we're gonna bring the hand down, shorten up the stance even more, and almost like a warrior one with the back foot. Inhale, lift, and exhale, forehead fold. So then we'll step back through vinyasa, and we'll repeat that on the second side. So we'll go through our crescent, warrior two, reverse, extended, and triangle. Then we're gonna have option for crow pose. So we'll play around with a little bit of crow. For those of you that feel like you have very strong foundations for crow in your locations, I want you to practice the jumping back to plank. So if we've got our girls and they're able, one, to do really strong burpees and squat thrusts, that's a good point, or like, what do you call it, clue, I guess, that they're gonna be able to do this. So it's just like a squat thrust in that you thrust your hips back. So if I'm in crow, I'm going to come up in my crow and then kick back, land with soft elbows for my chaturanga, and inhale up, okay? So it's a big kick back. Most women will go like this, okay? And so they're practicing, that's fine. But in your crow, you wanna take a super strong, deep breath and then kick back at the same time. So practice that crow, and the kick back. Then we're gonna meet in seated boat. We've got a little ab work. So we're here in our seated boat. We've got seated bicycles, 1 minute here, and then full body stretch, and rock and roll to standing. Yay. Okay, so we're gonna add on to our series with our revolved triangle. So we would do our vinyasa, our down dog, chaturanga, or sorry, our down dog to chaturanga. That doesn't really work. Forward fold chaturanga to down dog. So we're going to lift the right leg, swing it through, crescent, warrior two, reverse, extended, triangle, and then our revolved triangle, we're actually going to bring the right hand down, and we're going to open the left arm up. So this is where a block comes really in handy, because most people are not going to be able to revolve much. So if they at least have that block, they can start to open up that side body and bring the left arm up to the sky. So from our triangle, if I was here and I had a block, right hand would come down. I'm gonna square my hips, keep the foot where it is, and then open up first the shoulder and the hips, and then the arm follows. So we're getting an IT band stretch on that straight front leg. They should already know what that feels like because they got it in the beginning of the workout. So from there, we're gonna release. We're gonna step the back foot behind, and again, get a little bit more IT band stretch here in this forward fold, or option to walk it over the shoulder. Then you'll repeat on that second side. We'll go through that series again of adding in that revolved triangle. And now we're gonna get to our very last series that we talked about at the beginning, that revolved half moon. So we're gonna inhale, chair pose, right leg staff pose, meaning right leg is firm on the ground. We're going to kick back into warrior three. Okay, so we're in our warrior three here. We're going to hold, forward fold, so it's almost like a standing split. Right hand comes to the outside of the right foot. Open up the left hip first. So the right or left hip stacks on top of the right. We're going to open up that side body. So we're here. They can stay here or go into revolved half moon. So hips are going to come square to the earth this time, and then we open up in the side body. Block handy, always a must, especially in these revolved poses, okay? So then you will repeat, release will be forward fold, and then you'll repeat second side. If you have time, you'll continue to core